Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Today we have Derek Johnson in the house, everybody. And as you guys know, it's real raw talk with Derek. We don't typically do the questions a lot because Derek really does a good job in answering a lot of the questions through the course of his time here with us every 2 weeks. So with that, everybody just kick back, enjoy. He's got a lot of great information that he always brings us. So please, again, like I said, if we can get to some questions, we will. I did bring it up to him a little bit, but I'm a little bit on a time constraint, 90 minutes today. And so we're going to do the best we can here for you today. Also, to everybody, if you get a random message, DM, anything, somebody claiming to be me, ask if you're ready for the scare event, crypto, finances, anything like that, know that it is not me. I will not randomly reach out to you and ask if you're ready for the scare event, any finances or crypto. Please block, report them. Let me know so I can make sure they're not here on the channel. Also, everybody, be careful who you're listening to, who you're following, what you're putting into your mind. If you do not have a strong mind, stay out of the live chats, stay out of the X spaces, stay out of the comment boxes. Don't listen to the podcast because I'm telling you, the misinformation, disinformation is real out there. It's a lot of shit, everybody, and it's horrible. Excuse my language, but really, honestly, like if you listen to it, if you're kind of new to it and you're trying to get truth, you could be totally misled, totally confused, and really lose your mind. So please, everybody, be careful. I sit in these spaces for you to listen to that and say, hey, listen, just be careful. It's real. It's the wild, wild west out there. And there's a lot of BS being spewed out there. A lot of people using AI, ChatGPT, Grok, whatever it may be to kind of fit their narratives. Because remember, everybody, they can be manipulated, these AIs, to form kind of what your narrative may be, what you're going towards, right? And a lot of them, too, are left leaning. So be careful, everybody. I can't tell you that enough. Stick and stay with the 3 to 5 people that haven't led you wrong through the course of your journey here, because more than likely, they're going to get you over this hump. And we're going to be coming into some craziness here. I would say, we're already seeing crazy guys. We're seeing a lot of these people, I think, start to be activated with a lot of these just random fights, protests. It's happening, everybody. We're here. It's not we're waiting anymore. We're here. So please stay vigilant. Eyes on God, everybody. God has this, has you. He has won this. But at the end of the day, we have to make smart choices because there are people out there that have the Trump deranged syndrome, and that it's a thing, and they just like to, pop off. Like, look what's happening in Cincinnati, Ohio, at that jazz festival. Everybody, like, random people getting knocked out, and it happens to be white people. It happens to be. It looks like the black people are kind of going at. They're trying to do this like race thing, everybody. So just know, everybody, we got to come unite. It's not about black. It's not about white, purple, yellow, pink. We've got to stop the division, stop the hate, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to unite us along with the children. So please, everybody, be careful who you follow. Also, if you come in late to the podcast, everybody, you can follow the podcast host on the podcast host or the social medias. We are being listened to in over 100 countries, everybody. So we are making some great positive noise. The podcast hosts are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, PocketCast, Podbean, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny JERREAD Facebook, at Jenny_JERREAD X, at JJERREAD Rumble, at JJERREAD True Social, at JJERREAD Instagram, Revival of America right here on Telegram, the Revival of America over there on X, or I'm not X, I'm sorry, YouTube, and then the official JJERREAD over on TikTok. Not really good with TikTok. I'm trying to do the best I can with that one, but that's a little bit more on the video type dealios. So I just forget about that one, to be honest with you guys. So you can find me pretty much anywhere. Like I said, we're being listened to in over 100 countries. So check us out on any podcast hosts or the social medias. Also, too, everybody, if you have a story or a journey to tell, you want your voice heard, and you share your story on the show, please email me at troasubmissions@yahoo.com. We will vet the story and then make sure it's legit, reach out to you, and get you guys scheduled. But remember, everybody, it's your voice, your story, your journey that's going to be told, that you are going to tell from your voice. You say it because it's more legit, it's more authentic than me saying it for you. Because I think some people send in their stories thinking that I'm going to tell it for them. I love the stories. I love it. But if that is you and you want to get your story on the show with your voice, please reach out to me again and we will make that happen. But I am not going to be the one to share your story because it just that's just not authentic to me. It's better for you to tell your story, right? So again, that's TROA submissions at yahoo.com. And again, like I said, we do vet them because we do have people, unfortunately, just like we do the agitators and scammers, like to make up bullshit and just try to be relevant. So we will vet your story. Also, too, sign up for the newsletter, everybody, at therevivalofamerica.com. It is free. You get the weekly updates on the show lineups with the guests, the times, and where they're going to be, whether it's going to be here on Telegram or Spaces, or if it's just going to be recorded podcast with myself and the guest one-on-one. So sign up for that. Again, therevivalofamerica.com. And then you'll also get the latest updates on the podcast. So without any further ado, as Gian always says, and he will be on here Wednesday, by the way, everybody. Derek is in the house. What's up, Mr. Derek?
Oh, just been having a fun day with all the laggards. All the laggards.
The laggards? What do you mean?
Good
The
Lord
haters?
have mercy. God almighty.
What's happening?
Right when you think you're 10 steps ahead, you take 50 back with some folks out there. So Lord have
I was
mercy.
I was just telling the audience, be careful who you're following, what chat you're going into, what comment box you're sitting in, and just, be careful. A lot of divisions going on. We're seeing all this stuff happening in Cincinnati with the brawls that are breaking out. People are getting just knocked out like randomly. So yeah, a lot of division and a lot of hate going on. A lot of fake podcasters, influencers spreading a lot of disinformation and BS information using fake AI, Groks or GPT, Chat GPT. Like it's crazy out there. It's the wild, wild west. It's spicy.
Well, it seems like some people think sometimes that all I do is spend time addressing negativity, Debbie Downers, haters and all that. But I'm like, well, but we kind of have to, because the deep state, when they psyoped everybody, when they put TVs in everybody's house and got everybody glued to just believe it because I said it, not believe it because here's laws and orders. We've always had laws. That's an absolute fact. Yes. You hear people say, well, we've always had laws. That's correct. But you've never had an enforcer like President Donald John Trump and the generals and everybody. So, it's like showing people the separation, the line in the sand. There was a line in the sand drawn, and so, but then you take into effect also the tools of what we have now. My grandfathers alone. I mean, we don't have to go back to the 1800s. Just my grandfathers alone. Even my dad. My dad didn't have social media and all these other things. Most people listening didn't. So why are you falling prey to the modern era? So it's a good thing in one way too, though, to sharpen people's skills on what the future is going to look like. We're not going away from social media. If I was president, you would. I would really shit on people's party. I would do that. I personally like the old days of picking up the phone with a little cord on it and dialing a number. I like those days versus what we're doing today. Now, I'm a product of modern technology. I went globally viral on a video, but so it's good when it's good, it's bad when it's bad, but it still doesn't take away or whatever it is, however you want to slice that pie. But at some point, everybody has to realize you control your own emotions, and what you allow in your life, you control that. But especially when it's social media, and there's a lot of people who just want to make money. And if people would believe me that I'm a retired military, I don't need your money. I don't want your money. I'm happy and content. And a lot of people don't understand those terms today. Happy and content. Content means you're happy with what you have and you don't desire anything else. You don't seek anything else. So if I went and plastered my house and my vehicles out there to people, then you'd have others trying to find you and all that other stuff, good or bad, I guess it depends. But if people saw my 113-year-old house and my 10 and 17-year-old vehicles, they'd realize I'm not rolling it up and about the followers. I'm a retired military who I actually personally love I love shitting in people's Wheaties, talking about the influencers who are misleading people or using drama and propaganda. I love it more than anything because I sleep like a baby at night. And it's also part of the veteran spirit. Any veteran in here can attest to that. It's just part of that spirit of just going, you know what? I'm about to take a giant dump in your Wheaties. All right. Because all you're doing, all the people who are doing out there, all they're doing, they're doing the real effect of crapping on all the memorial graves across this land who served at all different time periods of this nation, who didn't have this drama and propaganda and BS and all these selfish desires that a lot of these people are doing. It's clickbait, drama, propaganda. I mean, at when do people get tired of it? And so it's also sharpening skills of people. We're not going away from social media. So you got to sharpen your skills on what is real, what isn't, what's AI, what isn't. AI is going to be very dangerous for certain categories of people. So, I mean, it's that. Then you got to combat all those out there that don't want to believe actual real information. Like I've been doing all day today. It's just, I haven't even been able to post anything good because I've been combating all those on my page, disrupting people in the comment box. I mean, it is a true all out, just feels like one of those video games where you just, it's like a tree pops up, wants to fight you. Oh, well, I might as well cut the tree down too, you know? And you got a real enemy comes out of nowhere. Oh, you're an enemy. Got you too. You're just running around this little board game, just wiping out everything. Just kind of funny to me. I don't know. But, you know, President Trump, like President Trump, I just got to do this really quick. It's so funny. And then you can respond. But, like, it's just like, how is it so difficult to comprehend? Now, here's what I do to people. I give you the bait, but my bait is not bait. My bait is solution or laws or orders. And I give it to you. I say, all right, you decide. But you still got to decide on what President Trump's doing or not. Not what you think you want to happen, all that. But look at something as simple as President Trump. I got a photo, the first photo I ever took with him in December 2022. Yeah, 90% of the comments were great. The other 10% who followed me, because it wasn't random people just seeing it in a time feed. It was 10% of followers. That's not the real Donald Trump. That's not Donald Trump. Oh, you paid him to take that photo with you. All these comments. Now, that's not the 90 percentile. So, but the 90 percentile are on board. So my job, in my opinion, is to address the 10 percentile. Because I'm like, okay, well, you're following me. What is it you're not comprehending? Because pretty sure I just baited you. I got you. Now you got to either logically think or critically think. And it's not too critical because it's not life or death, but it sharpens your skills. So now you just acknowledge there's a double. So gotcha. Now watch this. How is it so difficult to comprehend that the Donald Trump that everybody sees on TV, events and rallies, has never been seen on the golf course? The liberals all day long, oh, look at here. The world's burning down and he's playing golf. I mean, that's all they talk about. And he does play golf a lot, let's be honest. But I know why he plays golf a lot. Because we're in a military operation, military occupation, continuity government. We're in a unique, strategic, special operation. Laws outline this. Not me. Not because I want it to. Laws outline this. But strategic and unique laws. And then you also have to know what? A little thing called strategies and tactics. And a lot of them have been used in years past. So how is that so freaking difficult to comprehend that the Donald Trump I'm in a photo with and the one that John Jr. and Eric just posted yesterday and today is not seen in public? He's at private only establishments. So I just want to let everybody know, if you're some form of celebrity listening and you in harm's way, I'm signing up to be your body double, because apparently body doubles get to go into private establishments and you still have to walk around and get shot at. I mean, that's what people are saying when they want to argue about real or fake. Now, it doesn't really like that's not the overall argument, but it does help people critically think and strategically think, and also sharpen thinking skills to go, okay, now what's the even point of having a body double if the body double gets to go over here and chill and play golf all day? All right. Now, President Trump don't drink, but if I was a body double, I'd be like, well, when all the members ain't looking, I'm going to take me a sip of a mimosa over here because I'm not getting shot at. I'm going to get to have this free bar in here. You know, that's the stuff that baffles me, that's where we are. And that's with the quote unquote patriots. The normies out there, good Lord have mercy, we're all crazy to them. And they think of veterans crazy for showing laws and orders. So look at where we are in society. That's the part that has to get better. The swamp's been drained. Everything's been cleared out. We're in the disclosure phases now, and it's amping up. But the deep state ain't countering here. I'm sick of hearing influencers out there. Oh, the deep state countered. No, they didn't. If that's the case, then we're never getting out of this. So I don't know. At first I thought I spoke on behalf of people and the frustrations of people, but now I'm starting to feel like I'm isolated, and the only one who believes exactly what's going on is exactly what's going on, because the laws show that, and veterans know this, that know the laws and orders. Every veteran knows what's going on lawfully. And if they do know what's going on lawfully, it is exactly what everybody's seeing. It has been a true draining of the swamp. If it wasn't, Obama hadn't said a thing on his X since July the 10th. And it wasn't even about President Trump. Comey hasn't posted since June the 10th. Big Mike, old Michelle, hasn't posted since June the 19th. I'm pretty sure if Obama and all them were free to roam and their legacy is being tarnished right now, what they think of their legacy, I'm pretty sure old Big Mike would be defending her man, right? That's my man. Nobody talks about my man. You ever heard her talk, or he, whatever you want to believe out there? She's all about her man. Well, where are they? So I'm in that mood today. So we probably don't need to do Q&A. Probably need to just let me roll.
Let her roll. Yeah, I just have a hard stop at what did I say? 4:30, 5:30, 6. So hard stop at 6. So yeah, go for it. So let's do this. Let's touch a little bit on, okay, we're seeing obviously this stuff ramping up about Obama. We're seeing, random attacks happen in like Cincinnati, Ohio, at this jazz festival. They're saying that the white race is under attack, which, again, I just believe a lot of this stuff, a lot of things aren't always as they seem. Right now, I think there are random things that are happening, and yes, we do see a lot of these riots and stuff like that, but I think it goes both sides. I think everybody's under attack right now, right? Not just singling out the white race or the black race. It's everybody, right? Do you want to touch on that a little bit, and then talk a little bit about the Obama and what we could possibly be seeing, in your opinion? Because I'm hearing a lot that we could see maybe his arrest come through, maybe, and I don't do dates, but I'm just hearing possibilities between maybe through August, September, maybe on into the fall. What are your thoughts?
Cincinnati people are just mad because the NFL, the rigged NFL that it was all these past years, didn't allow them to win a Super Bowl. So that's why those people are mad up there. Cincinnati and Cleveland fans, they will literally throw a vehicle upside down because they lost the game, and they were expected to lose.
Well, this literally was
But
outside of a jazz festival, and video
no,
showed two individuals.
I'm making jokes.
Oh,
But so people need to realize what a military operation and a military occupation in the continuity of government, that don't mean that things ain't gonna happen in real life, right? But there's also two different variables, and this is by law. And I say law, but it's more of strategy and tactic in an irregular warfare and an unconventional warfare setting, which by definition, an unconventional warfare is just it. I mean, that's why I show people, I have to go back over and I'll repost things over and over again where people can kind of not forget. But unconventional warfare, all that is actions to enable a resistance movement or insurgency to coerce, disrupt, or overthrow a government or occupying power. All right. So, but what President Trump and the generals and the world leaders and the leaders did is basically a counter operation, as he told over and over, we're an occupied country. Those are not government terms. Occupied country, which is actually in the Law of War Manual, occupied territory, but occupied country, capitulation, white flag of surrender, which in the Law of War Manual is white flag of truce. Those are not government terms. Those are Law of War Manual terms. And that's where people struggle, is that they struggle to apply first. You got to apply that first before you can get to any kind of perspective or solution or explanation of a strategy, tactic, and or law or order. You got to know that first. And so many people are struggling with that. They want change. They want a drain system. They want the system change. They want all that, but they don't want to see what set up that operation and what allowed President Trump as an outsider. President Trump didn't get in this position because, he says what I want him to say, and he's tough and he's strong and he's witty. No, that's part of the persona, but it's not part of the selection process of President Trump. He put his name, brand, face, and image on this. He's a 170 IQ. My dad's a 170 IQ. I'm right around, I think last I tested one time, I'm a 150, 160, depending on how serious I am on a test. The average IQ, I think, is 85. All right. Now, that's not bragging. That's just saying that when President Trump was selected was way more than just that. And if a president could have been the solvent all these years, then why didn't any other president do so? And I hate doing this, but I'm going to do this just because it works and fits in the weave here. I had a commenter a while ago on my Facebook. And he got blasted because I'm like, okay. So they're saying, well, you people are idiots and all this, talking about us. And it's the people who fix the courts. Well, if it's the people who fix the courts, then where the hell were they from 2016 and prior? So see, all these commenters and all these people out there who are in that mindset actually prove the operation more than anything. Because you don't want, traditionally, but also ethically, morally, but also lawfully, you don't want military in the streets. You don't want that. No one should want that. The reason why they're there is because the people forgot what the people are supposed to be doing as prescribed by the Declaration of Independence. People forgot what their roles and duties are based off the simple core foundation of this nation. And it's prescribed in the Declaration of Independence. But when alone, train of abuses and usurpations. Well, guess what the people couldn't do this time around? People couldn't do what our founders did. Our founders did a bottom-up war and a bottom-up establishment and a bottom-up. We couldn't do that this time around because the people are too busy arguing about simple things about if President Trump's real or fake and can't tell the difference in one being in private, one being in public. My God, have mercy. You talking about Barney Fifes and their little one bullet in their pocket, they'd be shooting everybody and everything that walked just because they do look different or sound different. America's an ideology. You're to buy into that ideology. That's why they added foreign and domestic in 1862 to the ironclad test oath. That's what they called it. Abraham Lincoln called it an ironclad test oath, meaning this is an extra oath. Foreign and domestic. And look at all the veterans out there. I love you, brothers and sisters, but come on, step up your intellect. Foreign was not put in the oath to go over, start wars for money and territory and resources. It wasn't meant for us to step out of this nation. Foreign meant anything foreign to our ideology and our way of life, which is the foundation of this nation. Anything foreign to that, you're subject to what? Sedition, a butt kicking, or maybe an expiration date. That's what that meant. That's exactly what it means. And you have a group of people now who knew the people forgot what they're supposed to know and roles and duties. And they said, we can only do it from the top down this time. So if you don't know that straight out the gate, then anything else doesn't even matter. Now we'll assume everybody in that's listening live and going to be listening later, most everybody may be fully awake in this audience. But there's a lot out there that are still just calling themselves patriots, and all they're doing is hurting what's taking place, but also moving forward. Because the goal is not anybody over 40. Anybody over 40, you pretty much lived your life. Let's just be honest. In the basis of how life is. The future is your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. Our duty and roles by God in any spiritual matter that you believe in, our role is to pass it down, pay it forward, pass it down. That's what my grandfathers did. That's what my great-grandfathers did. That's why I know what I know, because they lived their life for me. And I'm living my life for the future of me's. And it's that simple. So all this stuff could be a tactic. You got to know that even in special operations, when go look at the unconventional warfare pocket guide, it'll show you that even some riots are special operations. They're special operators. It could be that well, I'm just going to create a scenario here, just creating one. Cincinnati could be a hot pocket where the people aren't responding enough there. Whether it be, here's another great interwoven example. When President Trump was nominating people and he said, hey, go vote for this person. We're in a military operation, occupation, and continuity of government by law. Law shows this. That means it's a strategic operation. It's a special operation. And all those President Trump followers and supporters are not to do what? Well, he nominated so-and-so, but I really like Susie over here because I've known her a while and she's been in our community. President Trump knows something you don't. And if you're operating at the capacity saying, oh, well, it won't hurt. Well, if a lot of people are thinking like that, oh, it won't hurt, and then you elect that person that President Trump didn't nominate, you're going against the wishes of the president, but not just the wishes, the operation of the president. So Cincinnati could be that. I don't know that, but it could be. So sometimes the way to get things, attention on the things, well, they use tactics. They use certain things that get people's attention. Because you know what Americans love in this nation? Oh, do Americans love them some drama? Oh, Americans have been conditioned to drama and propaganda. So it's kind of like Mark Twain. He has a quote. He says what? He says, it's easier to trick people, to con people, than it is to convince them that they've been tricked or conned. So, where we are, you can't just come out and go, okay, here's what's been happening in the last 60 years and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, because people wouldn't appreciate it. You also wouldn't be able to do what? You wouldn't be able to influence the right way, not coerce or persuade, but influence to do good from the start, to do what's right from the start. You can't make people. You cannot make people do what's right. You either have it or you don't. And it also comes with training. I'm the product of my mom and dad. I'm the product of my grandparents. I'm the product of my great-grandparents. I'm a product of that. And I replicate that. Now, there's sometimes, I say a 4-letter word and my mom will be like, could you do without that? I'm like, probably so, but I didn't. And we move on with life. All right. And I strive to do better, but I'm still a product overall. I have a clean record. Yeah, I've had 2 speeding tickets in my life, back to back, 1 week, when I was 16 years old. All right. The judge made me pay $100 to keep him off my record because I knew the judge. All right. Well, that's just how the system worked. And I never got a ticket after that. I've never had one. Never been in a wreck. Knock on wood. All right. So how am I at my place in life doing what I did? Guess what, though? There's no reward for that. My reward is to die, and there'll be a paradise for that. There's no, oh, here you go for being a good person this week. So when you apply all these principles of what you're supposed to be just on the normal, on a daily basis, and then you look at everybody's opinions out there and all these things, and it's like, oh my God, it's just everywhere right now. It's like taking a water balloon, filling it with paint, and just throwing it up on the wall. And there you go. That's what most people look like. That's not what Donald Trump's using. That's not what he's using. He's put there for a reason. He's the image, name, brand, face, etc. He's smart. He knows a lot of this stuff, but he's also a delegator. He delegates to people. So when people think like the first administration, when all the liberals are going, oh, look at there, he can't keep sewing there. They've been there a month. He's already firing them. Well, because they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. And he had the what? The skill sets, but also the audacity to go, you know what? I liked you, and we can still be friends, and we were friends, and we are friends, but you're not getting the job done. You're fired. Because the government is not about your feelings. The government isn't supposed to be there for your feelings and your emotions. And the government's not supposed to be that big either. So there's always a two-part variable with it. You don't want the government to be too big, and like Ronald Reagan said, well, look, here, the worst thing you can ever hear, here's the government. We're here to help you. No. We are the government. They represent us. But because so many people don't know that, and so many people, whether they know it or not, that's why it has to be addressed. It's not addressing haters and negativity from that angle, but it has to be addressed because a lot of that mindset's still there. Even if you think you're a patriot, a lot of that mindset's still there because that's all you've ever known. And so the breakage of that has to come with sometimes something that's out of the norm. That's why they call it unconventional warfare. That's why they call it irregular warfare. It's not regular and it's not conventional. So sometimes you have to use things to kind of light a fire under people's rear ends to get their attention. And then when you get that attention, then you can apply whatever it is they're trying to apply to it. So Cincinnati could be real. It could be a strategic operation from a mission they're running. You just never know. You'll know later. You'll find out later, as that saying is. And so that's why some people are just hung up on every little hiccup. And like, if you live in California, well, Cincinnati doesn't apply to you. You have enough problems, especially if you're in California. You have enough of your problems out there. Look at all the Californians who left. Why? Why'd you leave? You didn't stand there and fight. You'll go to another state and stand up. No, California needs. No, you left. Why'd you leave California? You didn't stand there and fight. You didn't love your state enough to stay there and fight. All right, so I'm an advocate of that. Now, if you want to move just because you want to move. You know, if you love something better, you love Florida, Texas, move. But don't go somewhere and make that your premise. And it's like oh yeah, you can say a lot when you leave there. Oh boy, you're a lot more bolder now, huh? So all these things doesn't in the military operation, occupation, it doesn't erase an operation. It doesn't erase real life. I have people all the time writing in, oh, people are dying, Derek Johnson. How dare you? People die every day. So it's like all these people never address where were you before 2016 and why were people dying before 2016? Why was there poverty before 2016? Why was there child trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking, drug trafficking? Why was all the same stuff there? Why was there never an all-out war on these? I can show in Laws and Orders where there's an all-out war on these by President Donald John Trump, the generals, the military, by laws. Why weren't they there before? So, all that could be a tactic, and it's going to play into something bigger, no doubt. But you saw California, the Marine Corps and the National Guard. Well, that's an active duty right there. That's straight up presidential. When an active duty is active on this nation's ground, that is straight up presidential right there. Now, that was easy to see for the people who claim to be President Trump supporters. Why? Because President Trump's back in. They didn't want to believe it way back here in 2021 to 2025. See, because an occupation or a continuity, it sounds far-fetched, or puppet government exile, those really sound, oh, that's old fogey. It's not old fogey. It has nothing to do with old fogey. It's a tactic. Is it rarely used? Yes. But it's precisely used when certain laws and orders are invoked. And you should want it to be that, because it's the very thing that's put the divider line up. It's separated good versus evil. It shouldn't be Republican versus Republican, especially. And it really shouldn't be Republican versus liberal, even though they act atrocious, and they do act what they garner what they receive. But at the same time, President Trump posts all the time, why are Republicans always arguing with Republicans? And a lot of Republicans just want to be what? Correct in their own little world. I don't operate like that way. It may sound like that sometimes, but that's because you're perceiving it the wrong way. I'm operating with what President Trump's operating with. It's straight up current invoked laws and orders under his umbrella, the 45-47. And that outlines, there's your visual right there. That's your visual vindication and validation, the 45-47. That whole imagery is the operation. And then a lot of the people out there are just because they don't know military enough, and then they think it's far-fetched. So, the Obama thing, this is not new. This didn't pop up out of nowhere. It's all pre-planned. It's all strategic. And the very thing that shows you that is just what I said earlier. If Obama was free to roam, if he was free, he could pick up his phone just like I do every day, click on X, click on Truth, click on whatever, click on an app. If he's free to roam and he's not sitting detained anywhere, if you were someone who had what you thought was a legacy, you're very known in your community. Well, let's just start off. You're known in the nation. You're known in your state. You're known in your city. You're known in your county. You're not whatever. If you were known and you had a legacy and you thought you had lived a pretty good life, if you thought that, and if you thought you were great, well, you would defend your name. You would defend your honor. You would defend your legacy. So why is it that Obama has not posted on X since July the 10th with all this stuff unrolling on him? Now, you're going to have some liberal out there, Democrat or smart aleck, that could say, well, he's strategizing. Well, he better be. I mean, if that's what you want to roll with, but it don't take me that long. I defend myself quick. Because sometimes when you don't defend something, people think it's truth. So sometimes you do. President Trump said this before. Sometimes you have to put people in their place outside of politics. Sometimes you just have to. When you know you're a good person, when you know you've done everything by the book, by the standard, etiquette, standard, protocol, whatever it may be, sometimes you just have to put people in their place. And if Obama was free to roam, if Bill, Hillary, James Comey, Michelle Obama, all these people, if they were free to pick up their phone, why haven't they posted anything? Especially Michelle, she was more vocal about Obama and that being her man, as she calls it. She's been more vocal through the past years with Obama than Obama has been himself. All right. Now, I know the jokes out there is because she wears the britches and she has but anyway, won't go there. But since some people don't get humor. So where is she? June the 19th? Really? Comey? There's a video floating around right now of Comey defending his daughter being fired. And, oh, Donald Trump is this. He can't post it on his own X? I mean, I think he's got, it's either 3 or 10 million followers. I'd have to look it up again. Maybe 3 million. It's something that's up there. But Michelle has 21 million followers. Obama has 130.3 million followers. Now, for the people out there that struggle with quick math, that's 37.5% of population.
Bullshit. Not
All
you.
right.
I believe what you're saying, but there's no way. That's manipulated.
Well, that's what's on his X. And what I'm making a point of is for people out there, if those were all real, true people and not any form of bots or whatever, then it wouldn't even matter if he had just 20 million. Why hasn't he posted? Why hasn't he defended himself with all these allegations that's popped up? That shows you the separation in President Donald John Trump and the operation versus the old swamp. Because the swamp went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all the time. You're not seeing that. The videos that's floating on them are on what? Mainstream media. Well, guess this is how you put whatever it is. If you got a friend or a family member won't argue with you, this is how you take it one step further. President Trump is real strategic with this. He's showing you that Russiagate. He's taking out Obama with his post, and it's just disclosure. And he's posting all the Tulsi Gabbard and all the other things, the strike force and all these things. He's posting that, but he's also posting the AP, the Associated Press, being banned from Mar-a-Lago, the White House, and anywhere President Trump is. And it says specifically, this is another thing that patriots have to do. You got to get tougher and stronger with your terminology. Terminology matters. All right. You put childish things away like the Bible says. You put that away. Now, we've all grew up in teenagers. Everybody's been a teenager in high school, and we all had certain words that meant something. You know, when I grew up in the South, if you called a boy a dude like they do in California, you got your teeth knocked down your throat. All right. Dude was not something you wanted to say to a guy. And you could have just been like, dude, man, this is awesome. Bam! All right. So there's certain things, but terminology when you're an adult means something. It definitely means that in law. And you want it to in law because of certain reasons for that reason. So terminology matters. If the appeals court is upholding the ban on the Associated Press, if they're upholding that, then it means it's already been a what? An injunction. It's already been applied. Well, you didn't see that application because it's a military operation. You didn't see the application of it. Why would President Trump forecast that? Why would he tell you that? Well, didn't he tell you on the 2016 campaign trail, never again will we voice to the public what's going on with our military? He's talking about them. He ain't talking about me. I'm not in the military anymore. It's all public laws and orders. It's all for the taking. It could have been anybody named Derek Johnson. It could have been anybody named Susie Q. It could have been anybody. It just happened to be me that put it all in the chronological. It could have been anybody, though, because it's all public. It's all tactics, strategies that are in publications. It's been used for years. It's all there. So upholding a ban means it was already an injunction. It was already applied. And this is the second time he's posted about the AP poll, or the AP. I always use the AP poll because of the football. They're the most popular out there. Associated Press. So if they're upholding a ban, that means it was already in place. And what does that apply? 47 U.S. Code Section 606, which is actually titled War Powers of the President. He can suspend, he can revoke, he can shut down internet, radio, TV broadcast. That's exactly what that is. Now tie that back in with your Russiagate and all the other things. When you look at Obama, Comey, whoever, Kamala, whoever, wherever, they're showing them on mainstream platforms. The mainstream media are what? That is they use telecommunications. The 47 U.S. Code Section 606 stems under the Communications Act of 1934. How many of you were alive in 1934? How many of you were born in 1934? If you were born in 1934 and you're on this podcast, you are a hip person. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, kudos to you if you're listening on this podcast and you were alive or born in 1930s. because that's how old that is. And it's titled War Powers of the President. And you're seeing that. That one post by President Trump shows you we are still in that capacity, because the law shows we're still in a partial continuity government. You cannot revoke something that wasn't invoked. All right. That don't even make any sense. And then also, it was partially revoked on January the 19th, 2025. So why would, quote unquote, Joe Biden let a continuity government run from December the 7th, 2020 to the last full 24-hour day of a presidency? That would make no sense at all, especially if President Trump is a threat to democracy and violating the Constitution, and he's a dictator and all these other things. You would abolish everything by that man lawfully, especially if you were a president. Then you wouldn't have to worry about, oh, you didn't do anything. No, if Joe Biden was president, then he could have revoked everything and terminated everything by President Trump, and couldn't nobody say anything about it, because it would have been done lawfully from the executive branch, meaning I'm going to terminate this executive order because I'm the executive branch. They didn't do that. All these war orders were just handed back to President Trump on January the 20th, 2025 with a big giant red bow. Said, hey, we're going to call you a dictator in a few days and a few weeks and a few months. We're going to call you all these names and dictator and violating the Constitution and all this stuff. But here's all your executive orders back. Here's this. And no, we didn't put an order of succession in. I'm the only president that's never had an order of succession in any military domain. No, see, if you flip it the other way and make it kind of smartassery, then sometimes it applies. That Joe Biden, if he was president, he didn't even have an order of succession within any military domain, national security, Department of Defense. Every other president did. And what makes it even more icing on the cake is, even though I know Obama was all roads lead to Obama and a bad dude, but apply that. Apply that Obama was a POS, dirtbag, like Clint Eastwood, and everybody told you a long time ago, that fraud, all this. Apply that. This POS and fraud can have an order of succession in the history books, even though he shouldn't have ever been there, but doesn't matter. He even can have a national security strategy, order of succession in the Department of Defense, but old Joe couldn't? See, so most of this stuff, like the little bitty riots and whatnot, some of it's just not even noteworthy in another kind of manner, once you know what's going on. And if someone is acting dumb and crazy out there, then let them. That's what you should want, because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing on the front. There's a way to peacefully protest, and you can be peacefully protesting something absolutely stupid, but as long as you're peacefully doing it, then, just keep drive right on by them. They don't affect me when they're protesting. They don't affect anytime you ever seen a protester, it don't affect me and how I change my views or thoughts. I drove by a protest a couple weeks ago. They don't change me. You can't even read the writing, really. And then they're hiding their faces. Martin Luther King never hid his face. Martin Luther King Jr. Rosa Parks didn't hide her. So they definitely ain't going to influence anybody. A coward. So Obama, all this stuff ties in to the bigger picture. That's why everybody went jumped that ship. Well, I guess it's been 2 weeks now. Everybody jumped ship on Epstein stuff. Well, boy, everybody, Donald Trump, you're splintering off the MAGA movement. You're dividing everybody. No, you are. And you did that. He didn't do anything. He's in an operation. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. And it's funny to me that no one has, which is cool, I guess, in another way, but at the same time, I mean, it is public law. It's public court docket. I have not seen any podcaster out there, not one, say, man, you know why? Because a lot of them don't like giving credit where it's due. That's another big issue in this whole movement, if you want to call it a movement. But that Supreme Court docket 23-939. When people hear March 19, 2024, they think, well, if it's over a year old, then why hasn't it been presented? Because this whole thing's an operation. The birthright citizenship docket is also in the Donald J. Trump versus United States. It was sitting there too. I've shown a lot of these. And then it was finally used in public. But I can assure you right now, if you think that President Trump did all this not to bring justice, but he has to do it in a way that doesn't look like his sole purpose was to take out Obama. That's why you heard President Trump yesterday or day before in an interview saying that the immunity helps Obama. Not when it comes to treason and murder. Now, that's not me turning on President Trump. That's not me disagreeing with President Trump. That's not what President Trump is doing, is separating all your normal people out there seeing this in real regular time, thinking this is real regular time. He's still separating himself from the comments of being a dictator and the comments of all the negative, especially the liberals. It wasn't meant for Republicans to take that and go, oh, Obama's not going to get justice. That's showing the difference in reading and knowing the laws versus also knowing the difference in an occupation, an operation, and a continuity of government versus a real-time presidency. So, you got to know the laws. And you got to be able to know that President Trump is separating himself from the normals who are hearing this in normal time. Everything still has to be rolled out in normal time, which is perceived as real time, but it's not. All this was made possible by pre-planned, strategic, special operations, laws, and orders. The laws show that. So when he says something like that, you have to make it applicable in your mind to go, oh, that's right. Law, no, treason and murder. If that were the case, then no one, because those are your highest crimes. Right? That especially what we perceive as humans, those are your highest crimes, murder and then treason. So if murder and treason were covered by immunity, then guess who would never be punished? Everyone. Then you could walk around and murder people yourself. You could walk around and commit treason yourself if you were in some kind of form that deemed a treasonous action. So if that were the case, then no one would ever go punished. So you always have to revert to that and then see why he would be saying that. He's saying that because not you, a patriot, not you, a Republican, not you, a conservative. He's saying it because the liberals out there, the man, if this was a normal presidency, the man couldn't do anything to please a liberal. No, I mean, not one thing. He could have the cure for cancer, AIDS, you name it. He could have the cure for everything, and they'd hate him, and they'd want him to die. Look at Rosie O'Donnell's comment about wanting him to have a cardiac arrest. I mean, that level of thinking. But that's also what I've been trying to teach people too, is you don't want to be the same on the polar opposite side. You should want punishment, sure, and you should want justice, sure, but all this attitude of wanting to see people hanged and executed, it depends on how you mean that. Because the same way that you want that, they want that for him. He hasn't done anything to justify that. Not one thing. Obama has, Hillary has, but you got to let these things play out. You may think you already have that evidence. You may think that. But you also don't realize that when in special operations, some people don't, not everybody here, but a lot of people don't realize in a special operation, it requires key inside people. Some people take plea deals. Some people take, you got to understand pawns. You got to understand fall guys, fall girls, whatever you want to call them, but fall guys, fall actors. You got to understand that. There's a lot of layers to that. And you got to see who was evil. Then you also have people like some of these politicians, they thought what they knew from their standpoint, let's say they were a local representative, and then they got ousted up. They were like, oh, I think he'd be a great congressman. And they run for it and get it. All right. Because they've had a good name as a local representative for years, and then they run, and then they go, boom, get it. Well, they may think, like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington in the movie, they may think that they can make a change in that position. But when they get in that position with the rest of the swamp, when the swamp existed, and all of a sudden the lobbyists and defense contractors behind there had guns on them, You don't see those people. The average person don't see those people. So you don't know who had a gun on them and who didn't. Same thing with General Flynn. You know, a lot of people try to assess General Flynn. A lot of people. Then the others try to pin me and him against each other. And I'm like, he's a general. I'm not. He's in a different position. I'm not. He's in an order of precedence. I'm not. All right. I can say what I'm saying. He can't. All right. But he had to separate himself because we were still in a real operation, real occupation, and what the goals were to get to those goals. All right. We weren't there 2 and 3 years ago. We're closer now than we were then. So you'll have people, though, who try to assess him. And I'm like, well, you don't know. He's the master of 5G warfare. Let it all come out. He's at a different level than you. There's no way for you to know about him via any Google search or any podcaster out there. There is no way for you to know that. The only person who knows all those answers is President Donald John Trump, other generals. Now, I know people who personally served with him, side by side, rank by rank, same rank. They're not talking about it. They're not talking about him because that's not the fish to fry in the first place, but also that's not their place. It's not their place. The place is to go, okay, what is the bigger goal here? What's the bigger mission? They're resetting the legislative branch. They reset the executive. And right now you're watching the resetting of the judicial branch. Laws show this. It's a cleansing of the system, the 3 branches of government. Your justice will come. But if you don't appreciate what gets to that and make that applicable, then on the flip side, it may not pertain to you, especially if you're 50, 60, 70 years old or older. Not that you're going to die tomorrow, but again, you're in your halftime and third and fourth quarter of your life. All right, this applies for the futures. And the Native Americans, and I have a little Native American. I'm not Elizabeth Warren either, though. She's got less than me. But I can't speak on behalf of those who are half and 75% if there are any left in the world. But Native Americans look 7 generations out. So you live your life today as if it was going to be passed. If you could just hand it, reach over like over a table and go, here you go, 7th generation. Here you go. You're welcome. Americans right now don't live like that. Drama, propaganda, drama, propaganda, drama, hiccups, day by day. And a lot of patriots are still doing that. You're just waiting. Oh gosh, maybe tomorrow's the day. Maybe they unveil everything tomorrow. They're unveiling everything daily. It's a rolling operation. It's not a destination stop. It's a rolling operation. Now it's going to escalate, and you're getting more and more closer to, your bigger players. Hunter Biden telling on himself, even though that wasn't really Hunter. But see, you got people out there don't even understand that. What are you saying? Not really Hunter. It's not him. You can look at all the photos of real Hunter, but he didn't age to that. Crystal meth and all that other bullcrap. Cocaine didn't do that to him. The other thing about cocaine, unfortunately, some people may in here know family members who've been a part of that, but whatever, you have to address it. Cocaine doesn't make someone sit there and talk so articulate like this quote unquote Hunter did, even though that video was edited, but it was 3 hours and 46 minutes long if you watch the real one. No dude that smoked cocaine like he did, snorted it and all those stuff, no dude sitting there talking as articulate as he is. All right. That's a soft disclosure of what's coming. These people have to tell on themselves. President Trump cannot exonerate himself. The generals cannot exonerate President Trump. No Republican in the world, no leader in the world can exonerate President Trump except the polar opposite of him. So all these people have to tell on themselves. Hunter's starting that. Well, Hunter, that one video, July 21st, 2025, the new interview now with Hunter, the one I'm talking about, in the very first few minutes, what did they do? They acknowledged the laptop. They validated the laptop. And I've had this book called The Biden Laptop Report by Marco Polo Research Group that Rudy Giuliani gave to them. Rudy gave this group of people the laptop, and they put this book together, 636 pages. 2 and 3 years ago, I shared this on my Facebook. Oh, my Lord. You should have seen the comments in there about the filth, and that's nasty, and this, that, and other, like I wanted that. I'm like, it's already known to the government and to the military and to the FBI, the CIA, etc. And all those have been cleaned out because if you believe in President Trump, you got to believe they've been cleaned out. If you don't, then you need to know, you just need to go ahead and quit right now. All right, if you think that there's still deep state components acting and they got control of it, no. You either believe President Trump or you don't. That laptop verifies and validates Joe with China. Joe knew what was going on. Well, what did you hear throughout all the debates? What did you hear with President Trump? Joe knew. You knew. You're the big guy. You're the big guy. We think you're the big guy, right? All these things are time-stamped and proclamated way back there, way back in the past. They're proclamated, time-stamped. This laptop, this book validates all of it. And in this new video with Hunter Biden, validates and verifies the laptop, the book, the connection with Rudy Giuliani, and this laptop. And then when you read the book, it's nasty, but they blur out the photos, but it ties Joe and all of them to sex trafficking, human trafficking, pornography, you name it. All of it's there. Everything. All the ties to China, all the ties to Ukraine, everything's in there. So that's your soft disclosure of what's coming. But you want them to tell on themselves, because this is how we get out of that drama and propaganda and that swamp, that stench. This is how we get out of it. The goal was not to clean out the government and just keep fighting over stupid stuff. That wasn't the goal of this operation. The goal was to get Republicans to where Republicans and Democrats can sit down with each other again, and it be just like our founders back in the day. Our founders were Federalists and Anti-Federalists, but they still got along because they had already had a little thing called a Revolutionary War, all right, that they got the British out of the way, but then they sat down. But it wasn't long before the British came roaring back and tried again in the Battle of 1812, the War of 1812, all right. And then after those people died, after those founders and their children, after that first lineage died, guess what happened? It went back to the wolves. It wasn't long in the 1870s when the Organic Act, and we go back under the crown. So see, it don't take long, and that's why you got to fight like me daily. That's why you got to have my attitude daily. That's why you got to have the passion like I have daily. That's why you got to not worry about nincompoops out there and all these others that want to be little soft, weak-hearted people. We lost this nation quick. We lost it. And they duped everybody all these years. And they did just enough to get by to keep their own little checks and balances going. And all it's done is divide people and make people more hatred and make people not even want to believe truth. In 1971, Johnny Cash released a song called What is Truth? 1971? My God, look at where we are now. We got a guy who's a retired veteran who shows all the current laws and orders of the man that most people claim they support, and they can't even believe that. Well, I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know who to listen to. Well, quit. You know, that's what my advice is. Quit. Just give up then. All right, because you have the truth. You have everything there. So Obama ties into murder. That's what 23-939 is about. It specifically says a military officer who gives or carries out the order of a president and takes out a political rival is murder. The last time SEAL Team 6, so in 23-939, the question says, can a president order SEAL Team 6 to commit or assassinate a political rival? That's the exact question. The last time SEAL Team 6 was involved with any president was Osama bin Laden and Obama. That was May the 2nd, 2011. 5 months later, Gaddafi was assassinated, the leader of Libya. Who is directly associated to Benghazi? Hillary Rodham Clinton. And you had Gaddafi at the UN Assembly standing up in 2011 saying the same 5 world powers can't rule the rest of the world. And then he said, are we not going to investigate the hanging of Saddam Hussein? He was friends with Dick Cheney until they killed him. And guess who was laughing in the audience at him? Assad, the leader of Syria, who fled December the 8th, 2024. I've yet to see one Republican conservative patriot celebrating that Assad fled Syria. Did you not see President Trump just terminate a deep state executive order with a national emergency and open up trading with Syria? Did you not see him open up trading with Iraq? Did you not see him open up trading with Vietnam? And all these people out there in my comments and messages, well, when are we going to see something happen? Well, I don't think you ever will, because everything's happening. Now he's issuing another, he's got another peace deal he just made. His press secretary, Levitt, she just said that he's making one a month. He's at the rate of one a month. Where is it? Where's things not happening? And these are not just monumental historical, they're biblical. We're talking about the Middle East. All right, and you missed somehow the people who are in that mindset missed the capitulations. You missed all this. It's all law war manual. It's all a military operation. So Obama will be the icing on the cake per se, but what you want to do is you want to get people happy first. You want to make people happy. Show them the money's rolling in the economy. Show them things that politicians said for years couldn't be done, can be done. So the first 4 years was to get everything rolling. The middle 4, the shit show, the what people thought was Joe Biden, all that was to continue operations. Because by the regular people, normal people, average people, most people think that a president can only serve 2 terms. That's not true. All right. When Congress violated the Constitution in 1951, nowhere in Article 2, Section 1, Clause 1 does it say a president how many terms. It just says 4 years in a term. Roosevelt was in his 4th term, 13th year. When he died, voted in by the people. All right. Nowhere does it say Congress is to do that in the United States Constitution. Nowhere. Not the original Constitution. All right. So when you go to that, and then you'll make applicable, all right, Article 2, executive branch, all right. But if they would have just made it a normal 8 years, all right, President Trump, here we go. It's go time, January the 20th, 2017. We got 8 years to do this. It wouldn't have been possible. It would not have been possible whatsoever. People are already fatigued now. Look at them. Look at the people who are fatigued, jumping ship over Epstein. You're willing to jump ship. So all these trade deals, all this money rolling in, the drug trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking, all these all-out wars to eliminate that, to save children, rescue children, take out big farm. I mean, just name it. Oh, you're willing to forfeit that one thing for all that. That's a selfish individual right there. That's a pathetic individual, in my opinion. To me, there should be no redemption for that. If I was President Trump and I can know that, I'd say, I'm sorry. I'll forgive you, but I won't forget. And I don't want you following me. He told Nancy Pelosi, she said, I'm going to be praying for you. He said, I don't need your prayers. All right, I don't need your prayers because I know you're not a good person. Your prayers are worthless to me. All right. To me, that's the same thing. You willing to jump ship over one little tiny thing that is a drama-based thing on top of it, and think that, well, what if his name's in there? Well, if his name was in there, then Biden, if Biden was real, and if the people thought Obama was behind the scenes pulling the strings, then they would have used that against him. They didn't do that because they're not real in the first place. That didn't happen. All that was an occupation, puppet government. All right, they'd already been taken out. But then also 2008, Epstein took a state charge in Florida. Who was the president then? Bush. All right, so all these people with these short attention spans and short memory bases, you got to sharpen that. All right, so you put the president in 4 years, and then there's a little tactic called a puppet government. So the years my grandfather served in the Army, 1943 to 45, it's the most popular puppet government, the Second Philippine Republic. That's where Roosevelt brought the president to D.C. President Kazan had him under his wing. He capitulated to our military and President Roosevelt. Japan installed a fake president in the Philippines. The press thought he was real. Some of the Filipino people thought he was real, but he only had control of civil affairs only. That looks just like what happened 2021 to 2025. They said, all right, Joe, you've always wanted to be president, but it wasn't real, Joe. They just made the people think that. It wasn't really him. He didn't have control of anything. Laws and orders show this. He has not one order of succession within military anything. Then he got the no traditional flight into D.C. on Air Force One, no commissioned officer present at the cannons. The cannons weren't even at the right place. They were at Arlington National Cemetery, which is a funeral. I mean, all these things. That's regulations. That's military, but that's Army regulations. That's just straight up Army regulations right there. That's the oldest unit in the Army, the official presidential salute battery, the Old Guard, 3rd Infantry Regiment. They're the oldest unit in the United States Army, 1784. They did not get that wrong that day. Out of all the cannon salutes they've done, it wasn't even them. Sorry if you're overweight. I'm not fat shaming, but those soldiers that they showed at the cannons for quote unquote Joe were what we call in the military can't make tape. I'm kind of getting that way these days. I can't even fit in my uniform anymore. And I got a little belly growing over here that I'm like, I got to get off. So, I mean, I'll fat shame myself. I couldn't make tape right now if I was still in. I probably could. But these soldiers they showed that day were really fat. All right. That is not what the military looks like. And Pete Hegseth just confirmed that as well. He said, we're getting all the fatties out. You're gonna be in shape. You're gonna be war ready. We're not going to war, but you're gonna be war ready. All right. So the soldiers weren't even the real official presidential salute battery. They didn't even perform any kind of marching service. Nothing military. So if you love the military, then you got to believe in what? Military laws, military orders, military regulations, military publications. You can't love the military without loving that. Because every service member that you're either married to or have been married to or children, nieces, nephews, cousins, aunties, uncles, whoever, all served under those. You don't just go in the military and you get to do whatever you want to do. You could be 40 years old and a specialist, and you're gonna have to ask, "Can I go pee?" Hey, sorry, I gotta take a. All right, go on. You could be 40 years old and be a specialist and have to go ask if you can do a number 2. All right, that's why a lot of people don't go in the military. So, little things like that show you. Obama, all this stuff was pre-planned. And he's the icing on the cake, but he's linked to murder. When you go read the Supreme Court docket, 23-939. Now, when are they going to unveil that? I don't know. When are they going to show an arrest? I don't know. But what I think this is my opinion, what I think everybody should do is take every day by day. Don't be anxious for tomorrow. That sounds like something I read in the Bible. It says, don't be anxious for tomorrow. Appreciate today, because what will end up happening is like anybody else in life. You'll look up and you'll be 80 years old, right? You'll look up and life's passed you by, right? So appreciate today. You're going to see justice, all right, if you live long enough. But all this stuff is unveiling. Hunter, again, tip of the iceberg. And then Obama hadn't said anything. I hadn't even looked lately. I'll have to look again. I can look right now if he's still posted on his account. Let's see if he has. Yep. He posted just a day ago. So he finally posted, but it's all about aid to Gaza and Israel military operations. Well, go figure that. Posting about Gaza. Well, guess what's in our Army publications 2019? Israel, Gaza, Egypt, cross-border operations. And here's Obama finally posted on his X about while a lasting resolution to the crisis in Gaza must involve a return of hostages and a cessation of Israel military operations, these articles underscore the immediate need for action to be taken to prevent the travesty of innocent people dying of preventable starvation. Well, Welcome to the party, Obama. See, that's how you have to look at that. All this has been taken care of. Army publications show Israel, Gaza, Hamas, Egypt cross-border operations. Way back in 2019, they started a new date with Israel, October the 7th, 2023, for a reason. Nobody's going to be able to take credit for what President Trump does with all these nations. That's why Ukraine has a new date, Iran has a new date, and then also Israel has a new date. October the 7th, 2023. And within 1 month, they told the whole world that the war had gone to the what? The tunnels, underground. Well, same year, 2019, we have a publication come out with the Defense Intelligence Agency. Iran, underground facilities. All these patriots in this room, you remember being called a conspiracy theorist for talking about deep underground military bases? They call them dumbs. Well, now all the dummies out there have to admit what? The dumbs existed. All right. All pun intended. So here's Obama on, which yesterday would be July the 27th, posting about Israel. Where he been? I can speak jive. I can speak Southern slang. Where he been? He just now talking about that. So see, that's all keeping people thinking Obama. He's a gaslighter. He was a gaslighter. His speeches were gaslit, written by gaslighters. All right, so that's a gaslighting kind of post. But see, the average person will think, well, you said he ain't posted. Well, there he is posting. See, that's the average person can't think. Now, why would Obama be posting about Israel, finally about Gaza, and preventing starvation right now, July 2025, when Gaza has been in our, Israel has been in our National Defense Authorization Acts, heavily in those. And then the operation started October the 7th, 2023. Biden, Kamala, during that time period, for the people that thought they were real, what were they saying? We will have no American troops in Israel. And I have on file multiple troops in Israel and in Egypt back and forth, the weeks before that and weeks after that. In 1 week's time, in 1 week's time after October the 7th, 2023, all these nations were in Israel. Thailand, Bulgaria, Algeria, Nigeria, Tunisia, New Zealand, Germany, Russia, Ukraine, Japan, Argentina, Colombia, United States, Canada, Sweden, Norway. I mean, I could keep going. Romania, most of your European nations. Russia? Ukraine? At the same time? I thought Russia and Ukraine were in a war in 2023. What are they doing with military aircraft at the same time in Israel? You know how big Israel is? What are they doing there? And then all the aircraft were flying back and forth from where? Where were the military going? To Cyprus. Which is also listed in our NDAAs. But it's under a different kind of term. It's a term with the attachment of Mediterranean. So why do I have all these files of military aircraft and our military aircraft in Cyprus before October the 7th and after it? And they're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to Israel, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to Syria, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to Jordan. Why? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to Lebanon. Why? So when you know the bigger picture and then you also know military, if you want to be a true patriot, well-rounded, that'd be a better term. If you want to be a well-rounded patriot and you really want to know what President Trump's working with, then you're going to have to apply military at some point.
So, Derek, not to change the subject real quickly, but
Yeah,
before...
You can
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Derek? Derek, can you hear me?
Well, I guess so. I think so.
Okay, well, I was just gonna say if you wanted to touch on before, because I gotta close this out at 6, my time, probably what 8 your time. Um, Finish what you were saying, but maybe close this out, touching on this. I'm looking at this active shooter thing that's happening here the last 3 hours over there in New York. Kind of goes back to your what you're talking about. We're going to see some more of these false flags and just stuff like this happening. So if you can maybe touch on that a little bit too, and then we'll close it out at 6, 8 your time.
Well, I don't see the active shooter. I haven't seen anything, so I don't like speaking on something I hadn't seen. But
Oh yeah, you'll want to check it out for sure. There was an active shooter in Lower Manhattan, and he has since apparently taken his life. But in the meantime, he has shot a New York police officer and some other people. But these are the kind of false flags that we all talk about. Derek talks about that they're planned, and people unfortunately do get hurt. But it's a thing right now. It's coming across my feed big time. So yeah, sorry, I thought maybe you knew about it. But yeah, go ahead and finish what you were saying. Then I apologize.
well, an active shooter. I mean, anybody who wants to make this applicable to what President Trump's doing is a damn fool. That's the first thing. And I mean, I'm sorry if that's. I'm not sorry if it's offensive, but I'm sorry for my language if you just think that you can't handle that. But evil doesn't. You can't eradicate evil. You can suppress it, but a lot of the actions right now are lone wolves, and then also they're people who didn't have a raising. Now again, you can't eradicate evil, but you can suppress it, and you can keep it suppressed. And the way you do that is the very thing that President Trump was saying about the ramifications. We got to deal with ramifications. That's a ramification. We have so many people who don't know how to even teach and raise their children. All the time. We have, you know, we have attention whores who just want attention all day. We have all these single mothers out there that having babies, and I didn't know I was gonna have a baby because sex was invented last week on a pig farm in Iowa. We have all these different things out there. Nobody has a foundation anymore. Nobody has. I say nobody. I'm talking about those people. They don't have a foundation anymore. There's no principles. There's no morals, and there's no ethics. It's just it's just like, oh well, I made a mistake. That's like I said, tell people all the time. Being a Christian don't mean you're perfect, and also reading the Bible and becoming a Christian don't mean you're going to be perfect. But if you justify that, well, I'm going to sin. Well, you could be Hugh Hefner. All right. Now, I'm not the judge. I mean, he may go to heaven. I don't know. But I'm not God. But God's word does give us this precedent. It gives us this like, okay, don't justify everything. Like, so look at the world we're in. Look at what's allowed on the internet now. I don't have kids, but I can honestly say, my daughter dressed the way some of these are out there. I don't know what I'd do. I mean, you can only do, but to me, if you train up a child in the way that he should go, with the good morals and principles, and you get back to that simple life where not everybody's in everybody's business and everybody grows up like I did, then why is the South pretty much the same? The southern region of the U.S., it may be backwards and slow and all that, but with the family life, it's pretty much the same. We don't mess with anything. There was a guy that came by here today, a family friend of ours, and I'll just paint it as a
All right, you're rubber banding, Derek. You're rubber banding.
black guy.
Is he rubber banding everybody? Derek, you're rubber banding. Yeah, we totally lost you. Derek, cannot hear you. Hello, hello. Derek, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
My dad had already told me he was coming by to pick up something today. Well, that is humanity. That's how the South was, and that's how it is.
Okay, well, we got that last part of it, of your statement. Can you hear me, Derek? You were rubber banding. Derek, we cannot hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. All right, everybody. We cannot hear Derek. So I will text him and let him know that this last part of the show did not get on here. But Derek, if you can hear me, we can't hear you. All right, everybody. All right, so Derek's here with us every other Monday, so he will be back in 2 weeks. So come back for us then, same time, same place. And then tomorrow we'll have Alpha Warrior on over on my X Base, and then Wednesday I have an SGN on, and then Silk. So look for those shows, everybody. Come join us, and we will talk to you soon. God bless you all. Have a great evening. I apologize for the audio interruptions, just the lagging, and unfortunately this is just kind of how it is sometimes with these connections. So God bless you all, everybody. These shows will be uploaded here shortly, and I'll put them on the wall. You guys can listen to the replay or send them out to whoever you want to. So God bless you all. Take care. Have a great night, everybody.